e-commerce are concerned. How many of you are users of Flipkart? How many of you use it on the app, not on the web? There you are. Okay, so the challenge with Flipkart, and by the way, I'm also a user on the app, and I use it on the web also, and it says welcome back, Kalol, and this is the stuff which you have not bought, which you have seen, and it actually, every time it enthuses me to buy, which I've left in the basket, I've not bought. So I think that's the strategy which Flipkart is already following, and part of it, raises from the fact that they want to attract your attention that you had seen this, there's a price reduction on this, why don't you buy? That is some sort of analysis which has been going on. So to talk more about what Flipkart is doing with big data and how they're trying to monetize it, I'll request Satyam to spend a few minutes and tell us what's happening in that $400 million business.
Well, the $400 million is the small pie that I control, but this year we're going to be clocking about $8 billion in revenue. So hopefully
I'm talking about your business.
Sure. So very, very encouraged to see the show of hands and the number of people using Flipkart and e-commerce in general. I mean, I think we're really going through some transitional times here where last, especially 1.5 years have been truly inflection, have reached inflection for overall the industry and the user base. So, glad to be living and influencing those times, and it's in our own small ways. So I think I'm going to try and touch upon these things generally from e-commerce and Flipkart's perspective. We have always been a company that have looked around, seen what is the data that we are hearing and seeing specifically for India as a market and the Indian user as a context, and try to organize and associate our behavior, our products, our efforts in those directions. So to take you to the early days, Flipkart was one of the first companies in the whole world in the e-commerce sector to actually introduce cash on delivery, and that decision really came through from the fact that there is a parallel cash economy in this country, if I might say so, and there are only 20 million credit cards in a country of 1.2 billion people. So we instituted cash on delivery, which made it really, really simple for people to actually experience, get the taste of it, and then over a period of time pull out their plastic, This is one of the sort of examples, and I can go on and talk about 2, 3 more. Recently, we launched something called Ping. So we created a survey by way of which we learned that the users want to be able to shop online in a similar behavior the way we shop in a brick and mortar establishment. So I go with somebody to shop in a mall. I typically will try out a shoe and ask you that, hey, how's the shoe looking on me? You might say, hey, this one's not looking good. Why don't you try the other one? So we are trying to simulate a similar behavior online as well. So we recently launched a product in our app called Ping, which basically is a chat built within our app and allows you, whether you're sitting in US or Dubai or wherever, to chat with me, and if we are buying a gift for a common friend, we can actually just drag and drop different products in that chat and make a selection, and the checkout probably just split the bill as well. So if I were to sort of broadly classify 4 different ways that we use data, one would be to basically, and the most important one, would be to understand what the market is telling us, to really, really keep our ear to the ground, look at the behavior and the clicks that we are seeing through hundreds of millions of clicks that come through our channels on a monthly basis, and influence our product and decision making moving forward. That's the most important one. Second would be to probably reduce and optimize the marketing costs that we are actually pumping. We are far from being a profitable company right now, and we need to be able to very, very be conscientious about the way we spend money. It's easy to splurge money all over the place, but it's important for us to see that should I be showing you, or should I be spending my dollar to showing you a shoe ad, or should I be showing you a mobile phone ad? And that I can do only if I know what your behavior is, if I have some insights into your propensity about what you are more likely to buy. And all that data comes through the wish lists that you add products in, what you browse, even third-party sites that we might be seeing. So we are actually doing all that data collection, and some people probably look at this as invasion of privacy. We look at it as hopefully trying to make that experience much more contextual, personalized, and relevant to the end user.
And the real estate space is also decreasing, right? Because now you're doing it on the mobile, so your ads have to be more relevant.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that, absolutely right. So, touch upon the decision that you've been hearing about Flipkart being, going mobile only. I'm not sure about mobile only, but we certainly are very, very mobile heavy and a mobile first company. And that decision as well came, by keeping our ears to the ground, looking at the trends of data that we were seeing over the past 3 or 4 years. Today, 72 to 73% of the data that is flowing and the usage in India is on mobile as a channel. And for us, it's close to about 85%. And almost 60 to 70% of our revenue comes from mobile as a platform. So the writing is on the wall for us, that do we actually continue spreading our efforts and defocusing on multiple channels, or do we actually build an absolutely stellar product that has a wow factor that has never been ever built anywhere in the world, because companies like Amazon, Alibaba, if I might name, were built in the desktop era. So Flipkart is one of the first companies, a large, major worldwide e-commerce player who's trying to build a product first for the mobile era. And these are all data-led decisions, very, very radical decisions, hard to make. And we are receiving a lot of flack, as a lot of people say. But we have to be a little, gutsy, if I might say, to make those decisions. And the third big piece, which actually would really, really fall in the bucket of monetization, would be how do we actually get this data to convert into dollars and rupees for us? So, like I said, marketing cost optimization is one, but now if I know that you've been browsing through shoes, then I can show you an ad for shoes, and I can actually, take that money from Nike or from Timberland or whatever, and that becomes a bottom line dollar for us. And there are various different ways for us to monetize the rich data that we're sitting on. I will sort of just conclude by making a quick statement that even though there's a lot of talk about big data, I think the amount and the kind of data in general the industry, especially in e-commerce, is sitting on and retail is sitting on is still very, very archaic. If I had to know that how much Samsung phone is my competitor selling today, I do not have data on that. If I wanted to find out how much of tomatoes this big basket or one of the grocery online retailers sell, that's not publicly available information. Onions, tomatoes, whatever it is. So there's a long, long way to go. And for some of you all who might be looking to actually become entrepreneurs after you graduate out of here, there's a huge opportunity in data analytics, especially in the retail industry, I can speak for.
Sure. Thanks, Satyam, for that. Actually, that leads me to the next part, which is basic.
Yeah, before we just end, so I just want to ask you one simple question which you can elaborate further.
Sure.
I believe there's a lot of opportunity in the anti-counterfeit part also around the data analytics, because you make use of data analytics for a lot of anti-counterfeit analysis also, right? So can you throw some light around that if you know?
So I'll give you a small example. We recently internally implemented a product which can actually look at the image that a seller is publishing on Flipkart. I mean, just to give you some context, we are now moving towards a platform for sellers. We are moving away from buying inventory from brands and selling it. We actually are a platform where buyers and sellers meet. It's a marketplace, essentially. Yeah. So we have implemented a product internally which actually looks at various different data points and analyzes the behavior and classifies a particular product to be to potentially be having a higher possibility of being counterfeit or not. The way the image has been clicked, are you seeing a price on the image? Does the image, so the various different data points, and I'm not the right person to speak about it, but those are the efforts that we are making to have various different signals coming from various different points and creating cohorts of possibilities of, eliminating counterfeit.
So that effectively becomes monetization of the big data you have, and you're generating because you're preventing customers from buying counterfeit, number one.
Yep.
The customer satisfaction is high, so there will be a repeat sale of whatever.
It may not be direct monetization, but definitely.
Absolutely.